So our next subset of these arthrogenous TMDs are disc displacements, and it does get a little bit more complex here because we have subsets of disc displacements itself. When we talked about our subluxation of the disc and the condyle complex, we talked about how that moved anteriorly to the fossa space and essentially out of the joint, where we get that locking and open lock. When we have a disc displacement, we also get locking, we also get clicking, we can sometimes get a snapping feeling, but this is just the disc displacing and not the condyle displacing. So really important to differentiate between the two for our patients. So with a disc displacement, we can have the disc when the disc displaces, it generally displaces anteriorly. So remember, we talked about that disc sitting at the 11:30 position. What can happen is that disc can sit anterior to our condyle. And then we do get, when the condyle is moving, that disc moving with the condyle, and it can sometimes snap or click click back into place when we're opening and closing, and then it will go back sitting into that anterior position. So we call this disc displacement with reduction, essentially, where that disc is sitting anterior to the condyle, and as we open, it captures the disc, and then as we close, the disc sits anterior again. And so we can get this as a subset with intermittent locking or even without intermittent locking. So it's just happening and we're getting a clicking sound or a snapping, and we can get this with that intermittent feeling of like we're not going to be able to close the joint, similar symptom to when we had the subluxation. We can also get a disc displacement without reduction. So that is where the disc is sitting anteriorly to our condyle. We're opening our mouth and the disc doesn't reduce back onto our condyle head. So remember, with reduction, we open and the disc comes back on. Disc displacement without reduction, our disc sits anterior to our condyle, and that is usually going to limit the amount of opening we have because it essentially gets the disc is in the way. Sometimes, less commonly, we will see disc displacement without reduction, without limited opening. And the Schiffman et al. Diagnostic criteria for without limited opening still needs to be 40 millimeters of opening, which is a functional opening. Most of the time when we get this in clinic, our clients will come in with limited opening, with that disc displacement without reduction.